Hi, my name is Benjamin Riji, and today I'm going to present the Unit 9 Perspectives in Psychology. In this presentation, I'll be presenting the what are the perspectives in psychology, why it is important and its overview, understanding and evaluating two key psychological perspectives, uh, the key assumptions of the psychological perspectives, the evaluation of the key assumptions, and analysis of the similarities and differences between the two perspectives, and finally, the application and the evaluation of the contemporary issues in psychology. What are the main perspectives in psychology? The main perspectives in psychology are behaviorism, cognitive psychology, psychoanalysis and psychodynamic, biological psychology, social psychology, and humanistic psychology. Let us look at why it is important. It is important because the human behavior is more complex and phenomena which is influenced by the biological, psychological, and social factors. So there are no single psychological perspectives can fully capture this complexity, which is why studying multiple perspectives is essential for understanding the behavior, cognition, anxiety disorders. It also helps in research and innovations. Let us look at the overview of what psychological perspectives are. Psychological perspectives are a different approaches to understanding human thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Each perspective offers a unique lens to analyze how individuals interact with their environment, and finally, process experiences and response to various stimuli. Let us look at how we can understand and evaluate the two key perspectives. Perspective number one, cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychologists explain all behaviors in terms of thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and study how these direct our behavior. Cognitive psychology focuses on our mental health processes such as perception, memory, problem solving, and decision making. And finally, it is a scientific approach that uses lab experiments and human behavior. Let us look at the theorists in cognitive psychology. Jean Piaget, who developed the theory of cognitive development, explains how children construct their understanding of the world through the four stages, which are sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. The strength of his theories focuses on the child psychology. His theory gives insights in how cognitive abilities develop over time. The theories emphasize the active roles of learning, the acquired knowledge. What are the limitations of his theory? The limitations of his theory underestimates children's cognitive abilities and the role of cultural and social influences. His research was mostly based on his observations of his own child, limiting the wider perspectives. Ulrich Neisser, known as the father of cognitive psychology, emphasizes the importance of the studying internal mental processes through experimental methods. The strength of his theory focuses on the advanced understanding, uh, perception, and memory, leading to the practical applications in fields like artificial intelligence (AI) and CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. His theory shifts psychology towards more scientific empirical evidences. The limitations of his theory are being too focused on laboratory based research, which may not reflect on the real world life. And finally, early cognitive models neglect, such as emotions in thinking and decision making. Let us look at the key assumptions of the cognitive psychology. The three main assumptions of this approach are computer analogy, internal mental processes, and schemas. Cognitive psychologists assumes a human mind works like a similar to a computer. The mind is an information processor following a series of steps such as input, output, and processor, like a CPU and screen. Cognitive psychologists believe that the internal mental processes can be observed indirectly through experiments and objective measurements. And finally, it is an internal mental processes. Human use cognitive processes to make sense of the world around them, and using our sense to collect the information from the outside world, like, for example, using our senses. Let us look at the evaluation of the key assumptions of the cognitive psychology. Let us look at the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of uh, cognitive psychology are empirical evidences and practical applications. The weaknesses of cognitive psychology are overemphasis on the internal mental processes, lack of ecological validity, and simplification of processes. Cognitive psychology oversimplifies complex behaviors and mental processes by creating models which may not fully capture the complexity of the human cognition. Let us look at perspective number two, behavior psychology. Behavior psychology or behaviorism is a theory suggesting that environment shapes human behavior. We are not born to equipped that the ability to think the emotions have no influence over our behavior. We learn through our interactions with the environment, determining our behavior. Focused behavioral psychology focuses on the study on observable measures rather than internal mental states. Behavioral psychology emphasizes the role of the external stimuli and reinforcement. Behavioral psychology is grounded by the principle that all behaviors are acquired through conditioning. Let us look at the key theories analyzing in the behavior psychology. John B. Watson, the founder of behaviorism, argued that the psychology should focus on observable behavior rather than mental processes. His strengths and his strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of his theory: behavior can be learned and modified, which can be have practical applications in theory and education. He establishes psychology as more than scientific discipline. The limitations of his theory are he can be ignored genetics and biological influences on behavior, and finally, ethical concerns regarding the use of children. Uh, P.F. Skinner, who developed the operant conditioning theory, which explains how behavior is shaped by the reinforcement and punishment. The strength of his theory has widely applied in education, therapy, and behavioral modifications uh, programs. Theory provide clear and empirical evidences for behavior is learned and established and maintained. The limitations of his theory are it is overemphasized external behavior, neglecting the cognitive and emotional processes. And finally, critics argue that humans have free will and are not just shaped by the reinforcement and punishment. Let us look at the key assumptions of the behavioral psychology. The theory assumes that people identify punishing stimuli as rewarding or punishment and aim to seek out rewards while avoiding punishment. Reinforcement and punishment shapes our behavior, and behavior is shaped by the consequences of actions. Behavior can be studied objectively. Observably, behavior is the only valid subject matter for scientific study. Behavior is learned through interactions with the environment. Uh, Environmental stimuli shapes our behavior. Behavior can be learned or unlearned by using behavioral techniques. Schemas influences cognition. Schemas are mental frameworks or blueprints organize and interpret information. Let us look at the key assumptions of behavior psychology. Let us look at the strengths and weaknesses. The strengths of behavior psychology are scientific and objective, based on observable and measurable behavior, making it scientifically rigorous. Effective interventions. Behavior psychology has practice in applications areas such as behavior modifications and therapy, such as uh, treating phobias, addictions, and other mental issues. Using the wider areas such as education, parenting, and workplace management through its focus on behavior modifications. Let us look at the weaknesses of behavior psychology. Behavior uh, ignores the internal processes. It often ignores the role of the internal mental processes and biological factors in human behavior. A simplistic view of behaviors in it may oversimplify human behavior by ignoring the complexity of human thoughts and emotions. And finally, overemphasis on the environment. Behavior psychology underestimates the influence of biological factors and individual differences. Let us look at the analysis of similarities and differences between the two perspectives. The similarities are both perspectives emphasizes the importance of scientific methods to study behavior. Both agree learning plays a crucial role in shaping behavior. Both aim to explain human behavior, influenced both moderate uh, modern psychology approaches and practices. Both perspectives have practical applications in areas like education and therapy. Both acknowledge the influence and of the environmental factors and through the views of its impact differently. The differences of the two perspectives are the cognition perspective focuses on the internal mental processes, while the other behavior perspective focuses on the observable behavior. Cognitive perspective considers the mind as the source of behavior, whereas while the behavior perspective considers as the environment as a source of behavior. Psychology, cognitive psychology targets behavior in influence by thoughts, process, and mental interpretation, while behavior psychology aims behavior as a result of learning responses through conditioning. Let us look at the application and evaluation of the contemporary issues in cognitive psychology and behavior psychology. The applications in mental health treatment. Cognitive therapy CBT, is used to treat anxiety, depression, PTSD, and other mental disorders by helping individuals reframe negative thought patterns. In education, cognitive theories informed teaching strategies that improve learning and memory in retention. In neuroscience and AI, cognitive psychology plays a big role in developing uh, AI models and mimic the human problem solving and decision making strengths. The strengths of cognitive psychology are scientific based evidences. Cognitive theory supports by empirical research and brain imaging techniques, increasing their credibility. Uh, the applications to therapy. Cognitive approaches such as CBT have strong success rates in treating mental health conditions. Enhanced, le- um, enhanced learning strategies. Understanding cognitive and memory processes help improve education and training methods. Uh, the limitations of the cognitive psychology. The limitations are overlooking emotions and the unconscious mind. Cognitive theories um, often neglect the impact of deep seated emotions and unconscious processes, limiting in explaining behavioral changes. While cognitive approaches explain through the patterns they may not always lead to behavioral changes without reinforcement mechanisms. And reductionist, it simplifies the human cognition into information processes model which may not fully capture the real life. Let us look at the behavioral psychology, the applications and the strengths and the limitations. The applications are addiction treatment, uh, education and learning, mental health interventions. The strengths of behavioral psychology are scientifically measurable and observable, uh, effective in behavior, uh, and finally, practice and goal oriented. Uh, Behavioral methods provide a clear structure, approaches to change in behavior. Let us look at the limitations in behavioral psychology. Ignores internal mental processes, limits the explaining complexity behaviors and ethical concerns. Some behaviors, behaviorist methods, for example, punishment, aver- aversion therapy, raise ethical issues regarding control and manipulation. So, in conclusion, both cognitive and behavioral psychology offers a valuable contributions to psychology. Cognitive psychology is essential for understanding thoughts process and mental health treatment, while behavior psychology is highly effective in modifying behaviors and addressing issues such as addiction and phobias in modern therapy. And here are the references that have been used in this presentation. Thank you for listening and goodbye.